This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.
The other main way they simulate the zero gravity is with suspension in front of a blue screen, and they use that trick for extended periods of time, for longer than 45-second segments. But they can't move around as much. They can't do the acrobatic flips and rolls in the extended mode. So there's full motion mode where they can fully move around, and that's faked in a plane, and then there's suspended or extended mode where they're suspended by wires in front of a blue screen. They don't move around as much, but they can make the scene last for a longer period of time. In this scene, Chris Hadfield bends down in order to adjust something, and you can see on the back of his shirt a couple of upticks on either side where you would expect wires to come in on either side of that harness in order to support it. Of course, they've computer graphicked out the supporting wires. You can't actually see them, but what you can see is a very slight discoloration where it's slightly lighter and then it goes slightly darker. And that's strange. That shows a couple of things. First of all, it shows that this isn't live from space. They're often portraying that this is live. Of course, these things are fully choreographed and edited in advance to make sure that there's nothing too obvious that you can see that gives away that this is a suspension in front of a blue screen hoax. The other thing it shows is that this is not raw footage coming to us. This is edited stuff. This is supposed to be a legitimate space program. This is supposed to be the International Space Station, and we should be able to see whatever's going on. But they edit things because the whole thing is edited. In one extended mode scene, Chris Hadfield on the right is going back. He's going back, and then he just stops. That's an odd motion. You would expect if this was true zero gravity that you have to support yourself, you have to stop yourself on both the top and the bottom of your body as you're drifting back. If you just stop yourself with your feet, then your head will rotate backwards. Conversely, if you just hang on at the top with your hands, then your feet will still keep moving. You have to support yourself at both the top and the bottom of your body. But his hands, Chris Hadfield's hands, aren't touching anything. He just goes back and then he stops. And that's odd. You can see a sort of a harness sticking through the t-shirt of Chris Hadfield. It's a harness that's around the waist. That's how they're supported. Also notice that Chris Hadfield has the habit of bringing his knees up. That's because his stomach muscles aren't as strong. He doesn't have as much midriff strength as some of the others who are able to elongate their body and make the hoax look a bit more realistic. He's constantly bringing his knees up because he's not as strong as the others. Occasionally, though, the others bring their knees up too. Notice that in the extended scenes, which seems to be done in front of a blue screen, like if you have a look at this guy going back towards the screen, there's some strange shadows there, look like they're CGI'd in. Using computer graphics, they edit out the supporting wires and edit in these rotating floating objects. They always seem very concerned with the object. Chris Hadfield looks at it very closely. You don't want the object getting too far out of control, because if it starts bouncing off the cabin in a weird way or goes back to the blue screen, it could ruin the whole illusion.
As you can see, I'll float, Mark is floating, and so it really takes a lot of effort to learn how to control that. When I set things down on the ground, you can let it go and it sits there. And so we think, just like at home, you have your lights on the ceiling, so that is up. But then you can do this, like Randy's doing right now. It looks like for him, that he's standing up. So there's really no sense of direction other than maybe the writing on the walls and the lights that we have. Really neat when you're working, you can get in all different kinds of spots and it all seems to work fine. So it's a great place to live and work. When you're working, you can get in all different kinds of spots and it all seems to work fine.
Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
See the hair?
I don't know. We're going to have to do something for you.
I want to do it. I know.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Watch this.
I want to do it. I know.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Watch this.
Thank you very much. I know we've got limited time. You've got lots to do up there, but I guess you one last question. Lots to do up there, but I guess you one last question. What's there lots to do up there, but I guess you lots to do up there.
What's the most fun for you? I mean, is that it? Is weightlessness it? If somebody asks you what's the most fun?
You know, I think the most fun thing for me, aside from being able just to do something like that whenever you feel like it, is being able to share this experience. And so I try and keep in touch with friends and family through email and using the phone. You know, I think the most fun thing for me, the most fun thing for me
which you designed in a certain way to have it actually, the screen directions flopped, right?
Yes, yeah. It's on wires, but it's all upside down, and then the camera does a sort of rotational move that makes everything else look. It's sort of, we found like even little tricks like flopping images or things like that, or putting a camera upside down or things like that could do a ton, because
it really helps sell it.
Because the intent actually is to sort of confuse the viewer enough in terms of directionality, because that's sort of what space does. There, they actually aren't on any wires at all. They're just sort of moving, kind of acting like that. But the set has been clocked and turned around, so that it's, again, you're disoriented. Hopefully you get away with it for just that brief scene, plus with an object floating by, like the film canisters and things. Just
the camera back.
Things like that can hopefully do just enough to help sell it.
Yeah.
History is written by those who dare to dream big, dream big, dream big, dream big. And do the impossible, do the impossible, the impossible, the impossible.
I don't know. They appear to be weightless, hitting zero G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission, whose only objective was to obtain a beef and cheddar classic and return home to Kathleen Quinlan safe before sundown. I don't know. They appear to be weightless, hitting zero G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission.
You did great. You did too, man.
They appear to be weightless, hitting zero G like like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission.
Fake news. You did great. You did great.
They appeared to be weightless, hitting zero-G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission.
History is written by those who dare to dream big and
the likes of which this world has never seen before.
A giant rocket, more than 300 feet, made of new metal alloys.
You want to think the world is flat? Go right ahead. But if you think the world is flat...
Well, sir, I think the simplest answer to that is we keep going. Whether it's the moon, an asteroid, Mars, sending unmanned robotic missions out to the moons of Saturn and Jupiter, the key is we're human beings, and we got to keep on going. We got to dare to dream big, try to do the impossible.
Give me a break. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen.
I definitely haven't mastered it. I'll give you a trial and I'll show you just how bad it is. Practice makes perfect. Give me another week.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. Go, go.